So we've talked for the last 3 weeks. This will be the fourth week about Ahimsa, which is nonviolence. But another way to think of it is peacefulness. So the opposite of focusing on nonviolence is peacefulness, peacefulness inside and peacefulness in the world. Hopefully you dabbled in some of the explorations I sent you surrounding Ahimsa. But we've talked about how what we project into the world, how we treat ourselves, is how we present ourselves in the world. So if we are always angry inside at ourselves, or if we're a taskmaster on ourselves, then that's what we are going to present out to everybody else. Like, so if we're trying to like keep ourselves going, we usually do that to other people. So if we're angry with ourselves or harsh on ourselves, that's what we'll also do to others. But if you take this concept further into looking for peacefulness, there's a song I was listening to today by WikiFit, and it says, "Peace is not a destination, it's the road that we walk." So it's not a place to get there, but it's how we take our steps in life and in the world. And this has been a trying time for many of us in the world, in terms of a trying time in the world, in terms of how, hi Jane, of how much violence that we have been seeing, or what is perceived as violence in the world. And one of the considerations of Ahimsa is, while we don't want to do harm to others, and we want to be peaceful to others, and we want to extend this peace into the world, there are times when we have to just make a decision as to what is actually causing the least amount of harm. And that least amount of harm, this is the extreme measure, could be pushing that button that might or pulling that trigger that might kill one person, but killing that one person would save millions. You know, that's a practice of, on a certain level, of nonviolence and how we step out into the world. So that's just one way that you have to think about it. But the other way is how we internalize that peace in ourselves. There's a quote that was in the yamas and the niyamas. It says, "With each step, I touch the earth lightly to do her no harm. And in turn, she does me no harm." So our walk on the earth is, how we step on the earth is also extremely important when we look at our carbon footprint, but when we look at how we treat the planet in general. And a really so when I went from being a vegetarian to being vegan, okay, I was a vegetarian because, well, there's a whole bunch of reasons, but I thought it was more of a path of kindness on the earth. But I'm going to be honest with you, it was so hard for me to wrap my brain about not eating dairy, that I stayed at a vegetarian. And I cared, but I tried not to think about what the cows were suffering, what the little male calves were suffering. I just tried to ignore all of that. And then my son made me watch a movie called Cowspiracy. So it wasn't even compassion for animals at first that got me to become vegan. It was after watching this movie when I saw the global impact of animal agriculture and what it was doing to global warming. And I remember crying and just like, oh my God, I can't believe this. And so at that point in time, honestly, all of my studies that I had been doing on Ahimsa specifically kind of came crashing in on me, because I knew that I was deliberately living a life of cognitive dissonance and trying not to think about what was happening around me, trying not to hear those little calves or those mothers crying in the spring when their calves were taken away, because you can hear that where I live. I was trying not to pay attention to that. And so for me, taking that step onto that path of veganism was how I stepped so much more lightly on the earth. And so that was my way of simply stepping into a gentle form of nonviolence. But what it did for me was that it made me more peaceful, because I didn't have to pretend not to hear. I didn't have to pretend not to know. And so by doing that, it helped me be more gentle on myself and how I navigated in the world. So the little practice for the next week is, in what ways can you be more peaceful and share this peace with others? For this whole week, pretend you are complete. There's no need to expect anything from yourself or to criticize or judge or change anything about you. No need to compete with anyone. No need to be more than you are or less than you are. Notice your experience. Notice how much pleasure, kindness, and patience you can allow yourself to have with yourself. And that is just, I think, it's a really hard practice, but that would be a good one for everyone to really try to do with themselves every day of their lives. But if you can just try to do it this week, that would be great. All right, I'm going to readjust this, and we're going to have a class today where we're going to be completely on the ground the whole time. Ooh. Those little lights around the mat, that's kind of interesting. I don't know if you can see that little lines. Oops. What's up? Of light. All right, so if you would please have those props nearby. You want a spinal strip, a couple of blankets or pillows for your knees, and you only need one ball. I have two because I kind of want to show you, when we have that time, how you could use two at home in your own practice, depending on how coordinated you are. So with that, if you would please just find your way down onto the mat. Just on your backs, and allow your legs to be nice and long. Get cozied in. And then just begin by scanning from the top of the head through the back of the neck and the shoulders, down through the torso and the arms, the lower back, the back of the pelvis and the sacrum, down into the hips, down into the legs. Just noticing how your body is presenting here right now, in this moment. Knowing with loving kindness that you are complete. Remembering to be patient with yourselves. Don't be upset because you find stiffness where you thought you were doing better. Just notice. Just take that little snapshot of that. I'm trying to remember that to refer to. And then if you would please draw the breath in through the nostrils, allowing it to float down into the belly ever so gently, allowing the belly to start to lift, and then allowing that breath to slide up into the lower rib cage, nice and wide, and expand up into that upper rib cage. And then gently release. Thinking of it as an umbrella, gently moving from the bottom of the handle, sliding up to open the bottom of that umbrella nice and wide at the lower rib cage, and having it expand up to the chest, the upper part of the chest, and then releasing. It should be effortless. Hopefully it will feel somewhat natural. And then if you would please, like we've been practicing, begin trying to count in your head how long the inhale takes and how long that exhale takes. And once again, see if you can increase the length of the exhalation, making that exhalation just a bit longer than the inhalation. Don't force it. Don't try to make it a task to get it as long as you can. Just a bit. Whatever naturally comes up. Again, a reminder, if it's a challenge, one way to approach this is to make the inhalation just a bit shorter than normal, so it's easier to exhale out. And the second option, which would be the easiest for most of you, would be to take the little bit of a pause at the top of the inhalation. So as you inhale, slight pause, and then exhale. Now in any of these poses and any of these pieces that we're going to hold for a couple of minutes, I'm going to encourage you to try to practice this umbrella breathing while we do it. And I would also encourage you to try to maybe focus on doing that little bit of a longer exhalation. See if there's any way that it can become a normal breathing pattern for you. And then if you would please, 1 foot at a time. Let's bring your feet onto the mat with the knees in the air. An easy resting pose, also called constructive resting pose. So gently adjust your whole body. You want the chin just ever so slightly tucked below the height of the forehead. You don't want that chin up in the air. Thinking of the hips, that point where the legs insert into the hip sockets. Try to make the feet and the knees both a hip width apart so that the knees are neither dropping out nor naturally dropping towards each other. If the knees are dropping out, most likely the feet are too close together. If the knees are dropping in, Most likely the feet are too far apart. Again, adjust the distance of the feet to the torso so that it feels like the weight is evenly distributed between the heels and the balls of the feet. And when you get into that perfect position, it's going to actually feel like your body is resting and comfortable, but at the same time, it's going to feel like it's working and that it's alive, tingly. When you find that position, gently press through the soles of your feet, float that bum up slightly in the air, and then just let it float back down. Do that once or twice because you want it to feel nice and wide on the back of the sacrum so that it feels comfy, soft on the ground. And when you find that, then we can begin our easy arch and flatten motion. We roll these hips forward, drawing the sit bones and the tailbone down towards the ground. The pubic bone moves down towards the earth. An arch appears underneath the lower back. You could actually slide your hands under that arch. It feels like the belly button has been lifted up towards the ceiling as if on a thread. And then slowly roll the hips the opposite way so that the spine slides back towards neutral. And then roll the hips opposite. The bum itself will start gently coming up off the ground. And you'll feel that spine flatten down on the earth below. And then release and roll the other direction. Gently allowing that spine to roll like a string of pearls, back and forth. You're arching it from the lower back off the ground, and then pressing that back flat onto the ground. Then on your next arch, allow those shoulders to join in with the motion. And as you go into the arch, allow the backs of the shoulders to gently press down towards the earth below, allowing that arch to increase up the length of the spine. And then flattening the back, and allowing the shoulders to float up as the back flattens, so that that flatten goes the whole way up the spine, and the front of the body curls a little bit into the slightest C shape. Now, an alternate position for doing this pose, if for any reason this is uncomfortable, is to actually lay on your side with your knees stacked on top of each other. You can do this exact same arch and flattening motion and the rolling of the shoulders lying on the side. You actually have a greater range of motion usually there, so you have to exert a little more control over it. And then hug your knees to your chest. Roll that back out a bit. And then once again, allow those legs to grow nice and long. And just check back in with your body, remembering to do that nice, sweet umbrella breath. Being grateful for how quickly your body can shift and change, and noticing those, and remembering those to compare to later. And then I'm going to ask you to find one of your myofascial balls. Now, I'm going to demonstrate for you for just a second. We're going to be working with the shoulders. And so we're going to place the ball under, what you want to try to do normally is place the ball under an area of pain or tightness if you're doing this at home. And you want to roll around on it till you find the place of the greatest intensity. But you want to go slowly, or you're going to possibly miss a place of great intensity. So we're going to go nice and slowly there. You don't want the pain. You don't want it to feel painful. You just want to look for a spot that's hot, hard, or tender. So the place that we're going to start first, everybody can use some work here, is we want to go and look for a place towards the inside of your shoulder blade. So I don't know if you can see it here or not, but where my shoulder blade slides in towards the spine, right in here, these are the areas that we're aiming for, okay? So we're gonna use one ball in class for this today, but I want to show you how you would do two balls at home at the same time. So what we would do first is we would take one ball and lay down towards the inside of that shoulder blade. And when I'm moving, I like to have my knees up to help guide it. And you want to kind of slowly roll until you find that spot. Oh, right there. Now, if I'm doing this on my own, I can remember where that spot is. I can feel it. And then I'll put another ball under. And I'll roll right there. So they won't be in the right. Oh, that's it. So mine are not in the same position. They're in slightly different spots. So this is how I would find that on my own at home if I was doing two. And then I would get comfortable and rest. Now, if you notice, this has my head more lifted up at a funny angle. So if I wanted to be really comfortable with two balls under my head, I would definitely want to use that little pillow I got out and prop my head, okay? So I just wanted to show you how you could do that at home. And I only say that because when I work at home during the day, I'm not wanting to spend, I don't want to spend a long time. I want to maximize my time. So for now, again, you probably won't need a pillow with just one. So first we're going to start on whatever side you want to and find that little golden spot, just rolling around. We're working again towards the inside of the shoulder blade, towards the spine. There. So find that place, and then your feet can be in either easy resting pose, or you can have the legs long, whatever feels the most comfortable in your body. I prefer my feet on the mat with the knees up in the air. And then Just start melting into the ball here, allowing yourself to relax, let go. There should be no nervy pain. There should be no sharp pain, but you can definitely feel sensation. We just want to allow the body to release and relax. We've been in this position for a minute. We'll be here for 2. For this to work, you need a minimum of 1.5 minutes. And then if your body's really asking to come out of the position, feel free to remove the ball. I'll tell you when we're about there. We have about 30 seconds left. So again, listen to your body. When you're at home, you can feel free to stay here longer than 2 minutes, as long as your body wants to be in that spot. And then take that ball out from underneath the shoulder on that side. And before we go to the other side, I'm going to ask you to once again lay down and bring your legs long. And I want you to notice what has happened to the back of the body. It's a bit amazing. Now, let's take that ball. Again, bring it towards the inside of the shoulder blade. And very slowly roll around in that area until you find that point of that like hot or sharp or tight intensity. And when you find that one spot, so long as it's not a nervy pain, pause there. And we're going to hold this for 2 more minutes. Allowing the fascia time to release. You've been resting on the ball for a minute. If you can, stay with it for at least 30 more seconds. But if you can stay for the full 2 minutes, please do so. Listen to what your body is asking of you. Remembering one of our Ahimsa practices, truly listening to our bodies and honoring what our body needs in the moment. It's been about 1 minute and 30 seconds, so if your body is asking to release and come off the ball, please feel free. And then release that ball from underneath, take it out. Lie down. Once again, noticing the shift in the shoulders. All right. So for this, the next piece, you have two options in the shoulders. You want to have your pillow handy in case you need it. We're going to first take the ball. Again, this is something that you could try with two balls, possibly, depending on which form. And you want it to go not so far under the shoulder, but up right here, up towards the top. Okay? So one way is to try rolling it there in those little bits of muscles and adjusting it until you find that golden spot. And you can lay there like that, or if that's tweaking your head and shoulder too much, you can use a pillow. But the other way to do it, if you can't find the spot there, and this is what I needed to do today, was to actually roll on my side a little bit more, like that. And then you'll definitely need a pillow. And right there is where I found my golden spot, where I felt that sharp, that intensity, a little bit of heat, and that's where I needed to work. So try it lying on your back, maybe slightly rolling over, find that perfect spot. And now we're going to go ahead and start for 2 minutes. Again, remember not to breathe in nice, gentle, slow breaths. Gentle belly breath, wide into the lower rib cage, radiating up. Slow release. And if you can, a pause at that top of the inhalation before you exhale. Been in this position for a minute. Been a little over a minute and 30. If you need to come off, please do so. Always honor the body. And then let's roll off the ball, remove the ball from under the shoulder. If you're on the pillow, take the pillow out. And then for a moment, pay attention and notice the difference between the shoulder you just released and the other one. Now we're going to take that ball and place it under the other shoulder. Keep in mind, this is a different part of your body. So this side may want to not have you more rolled on it than the other one. Might be something slightly different that it's needing. So really tune into that and pay attention. Maybe you were flat on your back before, and this time it needs to move over. onto its side, some on a pillow propped. Again, we'll be here for 2 minutes. Gentle, easy breath. And we've been in this position for a minute. We're about halfway through. You can stay with it for another half of a minute. Great. Try to be here for 2. And I missed that 30 seconds. We've completed 2 minutes. Remove the pillow and that ball. Once again, notice those shifts and changes in the body and the backs of the shoulders here. Feels to me more spacious even across the front of my body, because the back feels like it's so just melting into the ground below. All right. So for the next piece, once again, we're going to get on our backs. An easy resting position for a moment. And let's bring our arms out to the sides in the T position. But again, if that's too much in your body, have them down at a smaller angle. If you can just come up as high as you can and be comfortable in your arms and not hurting. We're going to start with this right palm open to the sky, left palm down on the ground. And just let those palms roll back and forth just a bit. So that one is open to the sky and the other's down on the ground, rotating. But then really allow this movement to be a rolling of the arms up in the shoulders. And the shoulders begin to roll with that movement of the arms. So when the palm is down, that shoulder is lifting up off the ground towards the ceiling some, and the palm that's open to the sky, the back of that shoulder is pressing down towards the ground. You really want to try to coordinate them. See if you can get both of the thumbs up towards the sky at the same time in the body. And then allow the arms to be quiet and relaxed. They can either stay out in that T position or at whatever angle that they're at, or they can just lie gently away from the body and draw the attention down towards the legs and the knees. And just allow both those knees to flop over to the left. Now, the soles can come up off the ground, rolling on the sides of the feet if they want. If you can see there, my right bum cheek has lifted up off the ground because my body is in a twisting position in the lower spine. And then allow those knees to lift up, that right bum cheek to come back down, and then those knees to both drop over to the right, with that left bum cheek coming up. Just twisting back and forth here. And then finish that set that you're on. Bring those knees back upright. Bringing the arms back out to your perfect position again. Right palm open to the sky, left palm down on the earth below. This time roll your head towards the right as if you're gazing at the palm that's open to the sky. And then rotate the arms again, but this time roll the head in the opposite direction. That head is always going to face the hand that is open to the sky. And turn away from the palm that's down on the ground. So as you're rolling the arms in the shoulder sockets and rolling the shoulders, the head is going to roll with them, always trying to gaze at the palm open to receiving from the sky. See if you can notice in the back of the body the movements of the shoulder blades as well as the shoulders. Then the next time that you're facing the right palm open, left palm down, head facing to the right. Allow both those knees to drop to the left. So you're going to have a twist in the spine. And then coordinate that movement of rolling and twisting everything so that the knees come up and move to the right as the palm on the left opens to the sky and the head turns to face it. And then untwist and roll in the opposite direction. And then hug your knees to the chest. Roll that back out. And allow those legs to grow nice and long. Again, for a moment, taking a pause. Noticing how the body feels. Noticing the quality of the breath. Maybe that umbrella breath feels more natural right now in the body. And then find that spinal strip. If you have a pool noodle cut in half, great, grab that. Or grab your blanket or your towel, lay it down, and get on that. Remembering that your tailbone and your head both need to be on the mat, on the strip. Your knees are up in the air, your feet are on the ground. That spine is nice and long here. And then just do an arch and flatten on the spinal strip. This always seems to give me a chiropractic adjustment. My spine usually just goes pop, pop, pop. So after a few arches and flattens, go ahead and add the shoulders in with that. So as you go into the arch, the shoulders come down towards the floor. Notice how they have more room to move up on that strip. All right. Let's bring both those arms straight up into the air, palms facing each other. And starting with that right palm, reach up towards the ceiling above, like you're trying to touch the ceiling. And then allow that shoulder to release. And allow the back of that shoulder to come down towards the floor behind. Now, it's pretty easy to make that shoulder go further if you bend the elbow. We don't want to do that. We want to keep the arm nice and straight, only going in your range of motion. And then come back to neutral. Left arm up towards the sky. And releasing. Coming down towards the mat behind. And then begin to start alternating so that one hand is coming up as the other arm, the back of the shoulder is down, back and forth. Then you can release the arms. Anytime your arms need a break, just bring them down and let them rest on the belly. It doesn't even usually take that long to get a break. And I don't know what your limit is. So anytime you need to bring the arms and adjust them for this, please do so. Okay. And coming back up, we're going to keep our head the first time pointed up towards the sky. And we're going to allow these arms to come down towards the floor. We're going to allow them to drop backwards towards the ears. Now, do not let your back go into an arch. Once it starts to arch, stop there. And don't go any further than your ears. And then allow them to come back up. And then repeat. Now for the next one, I want your eyes open if they're closed so that you're looking at the hands, and allow the eyes and the head to follow the hands back. If you're watching them, again, when your back starts to arch, stop the movement. And then coming back up, allow your head and your eyes to follow the hands. And then release the arms. Bringing the hands back upright, allow the palms to touch in the center. Thinking of a steeple. Keeping the core of the body firmly planted on that strip. Keeping the nose in alignment with the hands. Take a twist, more in the upper spine on that strip with control, so you don't wobble and fall off. Lifting back up. In with control, rolling the other way. And when you get back up, let the arms come down and wrap around your shoulders like you're giving yourself a big hug, and do the same thing. Keeping that nose in alignment with the elbows. And then in release, and we'll twist around the opposite way. Giving yourself a little hug. And rolling back and forth. Then releasing the arms. And removing that strip. Let your legs grow nice and long again. Noticing how the body feels. Should never be any pain in the practice. Coming back up into easy resting pose. For a moment, do another arch and flatten in the body. And then slide that right leg long again. Pressing down with the back of the right heel and that left foot. Lift that pelvis up and allow it to come up higher on that left side. And roll the body over that way. And then come over and push yourself back upright into a seated position. I'm going to ask you to prop your bum so that you're comfortable. Now, just pointing out, if you notice how I'm sitting, it's really actually rather uncomfortable on the body to sit with the legs crossed and like the feet all tucked in, crisscross applesauce. It's easier to draw one heel in towards the groin and then draw the other in towards it. So they're both next to each other rather than crossed over top of each other. So just because we've done all that work, we're going to try eagle arms. If you remember, that's where you cross one elbow over the other. And that might be where your body's range is today. If you can, bring them towards the back of the hands. Come in the same direction towards each other. And if you're able to, grab the palms like that. Notice how that feels. And then reverse the stacking of the arms, noticing for your own knowledge which side it's easier to do it on. So for me, I've observed that this direction with my right arm on top of my left arm is much easier for me to be in than this way. So it's just a curiosity. So I'm going to ask you to take the palms of your hands and come behind your back and see how close they can come to touching. So they might come just so the palms rest on top of each other at the back. If you can, steeple those fingers a little bit and let them touch on the top. See if you're able to possibly bring the palms down towards each other. And I do know this is something that a lot of people will find a challenge to do. So here's one option. Here's another option where they start to touch, or maybe they can touch there. But see if they can maybe start gently sliding up so that the palms rest together. But just find that spot in your body where they can touch. And then release that. And then we've been working with the Mushti Mudra. This month. So we are going to take that again for 2 minutes before we go into our final relaxation. So if you remember, we're going to make fists, like when you're angry, with the thumb on that ring finger on both hands. So please get into that position. And once again, just try to connect with the time in which you behaved too fearfully or too aggressively in the world. And try to remember that moment in time and how that felt in your body. And then begin repeating quietly to yourself, I am quiet and serene in every situation. I am quiet and serene in every situation. I'm quiet and serene in every situation. And then allow the hands to release. And then I'm going to ask you to prepare yourself for your final relaxation. Today we're going to do the 61-point practice where I draw your attention to the different points on the body. Once again, you can be in typical corpse pose, Shavasana, with your legs long or something rolled underneath the knees just to slightly lift them off the ground. That's what like a rolled blanket or two or bolsters are good for. Or you can use this as an opportunity to really go deeper in the psoas and release the psoas by being in easy resting pose for the whole time that we do the final relaxation, which will be almost 10 minutes. Being in that position for 10 minutes also has a little bit of an energy boost there. So you'll be a little more energetic for the rest of your evening. So just pick your perfect position. Maybe cover up with a blanket. Maybe a pillow under the head. And then once again, turn your awareness to the breath at the belly. Ever so gently watching that breath breathe the entire body. Noticing the slight expansion as the breath enters the body and the slight contraction as the breath leaves the body. For the moment, there's nothing to do except watching the rhythm of the inhalation and the exhalation and the experience of being breathed. Now we're going to bring our awareness to different points of the body. And as I name the point of the body, as much as you can, visualize light at that spot. And if you can visualize a blue star of light, that would be even better. But that can be hard to do. That star of blue light can be resting directly on that point, or you can have it lifted an inch or so above the body, whatever you have access to. So let's begin by bringing your awareness to the brow point in the center of the forehead, right between the two eyebrows, and visualize that blue star as perfectly and as clearly as you possibly can, allowing your attention to be effortless and yet one-pointed. Now visualize this blue star at the hollow of the throat, the right shoulder, thumb side of the right elbow, thumb side of the right wrist, tip of the thumb on the right hand, tip of the index finger, tip of the middle finger on the right hand, tip of the ring finger, tip of the little finger on the right hand, little finger side of the right wrist, little finger side of the right elbow, right shoulder joint, hollow of the neck, left shoulder joint, thumb side of the left elbow, thumb side of the left wrist, tip of the thumb on the left hand, tip of the index finger, tip of the middle finger on the left hand, tip of the ring finger, tip of the little finger on the left hand, little finger side of the left wrist, little finger side of the left elbow, left shoulder joint, hollow of the neck, heart center, center of the right breast, heart center, center of the left breast, heart center, navel point, top of the pubic bone, right hip joint, big toe side of the right knee, big toe side of the right ankle, tip of the right big toe, tip of the right next toe, tip of the right middle toe, tip of the next toe, tip of the baby toe on the right foot, baby toe side of the right ankle, baby toe side of the right knee, right hip joint, top of the pubic bone, left hip joint, big toe side of the left knee, big toe side of the left ankle, tip of the left big toe, tip of the left next toe, tip of the left middle toe, tip of the next toe, tip of the baby toe on the left foot, baby toe side of the left ankle, baby toe side of the left knee, left hip joint, top of the pubic bone, navel point, heart center, hollow of the throat, brow point. Now see your whole body connected with energy and brilliantly lit as a constellation in the sky, all 61 points shining like a star. Remembering that you are a child of the light and made of stardust. Return to the breath of the belly. And then letting the toes and the fingers wiggle and move. Hug the knees to the chest and roll that back out. And then stretch the body any way it needs to move. And hug the knees to the chest again for a moment, rolling that back out again. And then bringing both the feet back down to the mat in constructive resting pose. This time, allow that left leg to grow nice and long with the right knee up in the air. And pressing through that left heel and the sole of the right foot. Lift the hip and the pelvis off the ground on the right side, allowing that right foot to roll those hips over onto your side. And then just lay on your side here for a little bit. Breathing, gently curled up if you can. And then gently bring yourself back up into a comfortable seated position with your bum propped again. We're going to do a couple of minutes of the loving kindness meditation. Now, the goal of the loving kindness meditation is by loving yourself, you're able to bring more love out into the world, that peacefulness, that nonviolence. But it can be very tender for people to do that for themselves and to bless themselves that way. So if it's really hard for you to access that in yourself, instead think of somebody that you love and say this for them. But I'm going to ask you to just sit nice and upright and get comfortable. And then when you're ready, you're going to allow my words to be your words. I'm going to repeat it 3 times, and then you're just going to continue repeating it in silence for yourself. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I live with ease of heart. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I live with ease of heart. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I live with ease of heart. May all beings find happiness. May all be free of disease. May all see what is auspicious. And may no one suffer. May you be at peace. May your heart remain open. May you awaken to the light of your own true nature. May you be healed. And may you be a source of healing for all beings. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Thank you so much for joining me today, and hope you have a good holiday next week. No matter if you're staying at home or going somewhere, be safe. This is going to be the big spread time. We'll keep an eye out on the numbers and what's going on, and I will send out an email next weekend asking all of you to vote on how you feel about classes and what we should do next. Let's see what your opinion is. Unless something shifts in me and I have a very strong opinion and just decide, no, we're not going back, which could happen. But at the moment, I'm very open to it. So we'll all connect with that. And see you later. Thanks for being here.